Good morning, evening, afternoon. Moss here. Hope you are doing well. Welcome to Moss on Sundays, where we uncover the truth, misconceptions of religion, science, politics, and just being human here. So again, welcome. It's so exciting. A lot of new people really wondering or figuring out who the hell this guy is. So we'll just start with that. Again, Masati. I've had 2 near-death experiences. And I've honed through those 2 near-death experiences, I've honed abilities that we all have. The key is that we all have that, and actually teach people how to hone your own abilities so you can have a fantastic life. You don't have to age the way society does. You don't have to get ill. You don't have to, be unhappy and be successful, because most success, most individuals who say crave success. So like when you're poor, you crave success, thinking that that's going to be, say, the gold, the stuff that's going to make you happy and live longer, but then they don't. So again, whether you're poor or whether you're, super successful, you're still unhappy. So what's the key? The key is right here, and that's what you're going to find out here. There's some background noise, so just give me 1 second, guys. Let me just mute those people. There we go. Alrighty. So in today's topic, because we cover a plethora of topics, topics that range from relationships to wealth to, in this case, DNA. So who, again, who is this guy, and why is he all over the place? He should specialize just on one topic, like becoming wealthy, but it's really not that. Those are facets of a human being. What exponential intelligence, the knowledge that I tap into, that we all have access to, by the way, the knowledge that we tap into, the knowledge that creates us, literally, the knowledge that changes our genetics. So this isn't about, creating better wealth for you, although many individuals have fantastic wealth come into them. This isn't about, creating health for you. I'm not a medical doctor, although many individuals heal themselves of even the most, say, craziest diseases or the terminally ill diseases out there. I don't try to make you happy. I'm not a psychologist in any way, although many individuals, again, experience, say, extreme happiness or that euphoric feeling or that spiritual connection that they have. So, and the key is, it's not psychology, it's not medical, it's not, leadership skills or success traits or anything like that. It's about understanding who you are as a human. I build better humans, literally build better humans. And it's like, well, how can you build something, Mon? That's like putting together somebody. That's not, you're not a kit, you're not like a car or something that you put together. Well, in reality, we're all built on, say, a program, programs that are in your DNA, your genetic makeup, that dictates, again, how you experience this reality. So like, say, your hair color. So in your DNA, and again, we'll just jump right in your DNA, you'll see that there's a program, literally a program or a genetic coding for your hair. Okay, so within that coding of your hair, there is a programming. So again, a subgroup within that DNA, say strand, if you want to call it, or again, however you want to call it in your genome. Within your DNA, the curliness of your hair, the straightness of your hair, the oiliness of your hair, and everything that has to do with your hair is programmed within you. Right? And that's just one example. Whether it's your eyes, whether it's your toenails, or whatever that you think it is, it's not just, say, a random sequence of events that just happened to you. Everything, just like what's on your computer, everything, or your phone, or any technology that you use nowadays, again, there's a program underlying that allows you to do the things that you do. There's a program in your DNA that allows you to do whatever you want to do, including your emotions, okay? Including how you see your relationships, including, again, every aspect of you. So, and again, that means that, well, shit, we're just all programs, right? And that kind of sucks, Moss, because then it's like we're just like robots. Well, the key is that you have a master key, like I do now, and that's what I teach you, is like, well, how do you get into, say, the admin level, the back end of your programming? That's what you want. You're changing your life anyway, and you think you have freedom, but you really don't. You don't have free will here, by the way, because you're dictated by the program, not by a godhead or anything like that, but you're dictated by the programming of evolution. Okay, that evolution is, again, your genetics. You've learned from your predecessors. You've learned from you are a cumulative total of your parents, and then whoever, grandparents, great grandparents, and so on and so on. So all those individuals behind you, you're the latest version when you were born. Think of that. Now, in this situation, in human situations, unfortunately, we don't go through a virus check. We don't go through and go, well, this programming didn't work. Let's trash that and then, learn from it. So in nature, in the animal world, outside of human intervention, in nature, for example, and again, raw animals that haven't been distorted by human intervention, they evolve. So every generation gets better and better and better, more efficient, more succinct to space and time. They start to understand their environment, and they actually change with their environment. Okay? Again, through DNA. So your DNA is always learning its environment, adapting to it, and then shifting. Okay. In this case, scientists go, well, your DNA stays the same. It is what it is, and which doesn't really make sense. And now there's a lot of research, especially from the Soviet scientists who are understanding DNA, and from what I'm seeing, they're like decades ahead of what we have here in the U.S. Unfortunately, because they go beyond the insecurities of science, which is another topic. Anyway. So when they're as their research, again, it parallels what I see with my abilities, is that your your DNA is always adapting to its environment. You are a feedback loop. Again, it's always adapting to your environment. Something happens to you. Say, for example, say that you live in intense situations, right? A chaotic family, right? Or an abusive family. Okay? And it could be the other way around. But in this example, it's an abusive family. And then you have one individual, say like a father figure, and it's probably many of you in this case, and that's why I'm probably using this example, a father figure that was dominant through anger, through abuse, through whatever. That father figure, right, survived, because your DNA is always about survival. Now think of it. If your DNA is programmed to be in survival mode all the time, right? And it does what it does to survive. Again, it's genetic coding for you. Every cell of you is always there to survive or get to the next level. In the environment of this chaos, it's learned that being abusive, being aggressive, being, mad, angry, and all that, makes you survive, right? Because everybody else whittles away or becomes a victim. Well, what do? Your DNA adapts and learns and accommodates. Again, nurture versus nature. It's both, right? So what happens is that as you grow up, you have to become abusive, abrasive, and so on to survive in your reality. But that's not a true situation. In that situation, it is. But again, overall, there's tons of ways to, say, survive and adapt, right? Unfortunately, over wars and strife and slavery and all those things that humanity has gone through, this is why the world is the way it is. It's not because, well, we need new rules, we need new laws, we need all that stuff, to get us back to center, to get us back to a humane level. It'll never happen, because your DNA dictates that you have to have chaos, unfortunately, to survive. That's what it's learned over centuries. Again, we don't adapt to a higher value. We, unfortunately, humans have free will. We basically have gone, say, downhill. So we devolve, not evolve, unfortunately. So what does that have to do with your DNA? And I talk more about that in deeper subjects through the lecture series that I have, by the way, on how to evolve consciousness. And then also now a TV show on the Best U TV. So you can go there, bestutv.com, I believe, and you can find, say, the higher knowledge or the evolutionary process on how we can evolve as humans to get us out of, say, the situation that we're in. All right, since this is an experiential show, let's take a deep breath in, and we'll take you into those realms of the matrix where I can help you, say, edit your DNA. Again, scientists today in the U.S., think that your DNA is just there. It's just hard-coded. It doesn't change. And then they have like communication, like the RNA, the surface level, the way it communicates, right, to your cells, which eventually communicate to you or how you experience life. So you have your DNA. Scientists think that never change. It's just solid. The way you're born, it never changes. Again, which doesn't make sense for a lot of reasons that we don't get into because of time. Again, other shows that I do will get into the deeper layers on, genetic structure, how to change it, and so on. But this is just an overview. So taking a deep breath in, noticing your chest. Scientists think that, again, solid core, your DNA doesn't change. It is what it is. And then the way it communicates to you, again, the RNA, and that's where the vaccines, say, come in. The way it communicates to, say, your brain or to the cells, that's what changes. So again, it's a solid feature. It never changes. And then the way it communicates or the way you change your emotions, your habits, your disease patterns, and so on is the way you change, say, the communication behind that. XI doesn't see it that way at all. XI is very, very different. Your DNA is a physical structure. It's based in time and space. Okay? But there's an underlying frequency, again, that goes beyond time and space, again, beyond the quantum realm. And again, some of you scientists go, well, that can't be because it doesn't exist. Of course it exists. Just because you don't see it. Radio waves back in the day, nobody believed it, but shit, now, radio waves, wireless communication, nobody would believe that because you can't touch it, feel it, but it exists, right? Infrared, X-rays, all those things exist. We just have, say, tools that confirm that it exists. We just haven't developed tools to confirm that the underlying frequencies or frequencies that go beyond the realm exist. Simple as that. So we just need to create better tools or understand who we are at a deeper level. And then we can actually use those just like I can. Again, so let's take a deep breath in. So that's the way science sees it. So let me tell you how, say, XI research sees it, and what is actually, say, encoded in your DNA from your ancestors that experts don't even know about. So most people, again, most experts think it's just, how your body works, how your genetic, your body structure works, your human, maybe some of the experiences, but there's tons and tons and tons of research that are, say, going into a total different direction. Yes, you have a human platform or your identity. Even that, for example, your DNA would have to understand that you're human to form you as human, to have, organs like a human, to have, sensory perception like a human. You're not a squirrel, you're not an ant, you're not a tree. And again, they've done research on, they've taken snippets of, say, other forms and put it into, a frog or something simple. And it's just created, again, a mixture, right? So again, it's a manufacturing process for you. You edit that, and then you can edit. But that's very rudimentary because the underlying, say, feature that creates that DNA has to change for you as well. So let me give you a clear example. So right now, we have our DNA. Again, it's solid. It doesn't change, which isn't true, according to XI research. And again, many scientists that are more advanced. And then you have the way you communicate with your DNA, right? So you think that you're very emotional, let's say, right? Again, that's just the way your DNA is. Again, it's not a logic. It's just that in your DNA, you're deemed very emotional. So what happens is that you circumvent that. by controlling yourself at an outside level. Does that make sense to you? And now, say you're diseased. In the past, we'd take medications. We would take, surgeries. We would do whatever, but your DNA is still, say, sending out messages that you're diseased, say, in this example. And again, medications, surgeries, and all that. But now scientists are going, well, shit, why don't we just change the DNA by splicing it, through CRISPR technologies and, all those things, right? We'll change it at the physical level, but your DNA is still, say, encoding from a deeper level, okay? The frequency that creates that DNA, that frequency that always is adapting to its environment and then changing the DNA accordingly. So that's where XI goes. So you have your physical DNA, and that scientists end there with it. You go beyond the frequency that, say, generates the DNA that generates you. Okay, let's take a deep breath in. So if you change the blueprint on how that DNA is encoded, it'll change how you communicate to your cells, which change how you see this reality. That's why many of you, and again, please comment in on many of you who have changed, say, your facial structures, your body structures. You don't age like your parents do. Why would that be? I didn't, again, implement, I didn't change you. I didn't say help you change. It's not me. I didn't help you recognize, say, the distortions of your parents at, say, beyond your DNA. This way, the physical form, I changed it at your, say, blueprint level. Okay, the blueprint on how your DNA is created. So I changed you at the base level, say the 0 point. So most scientists, again, edit you, and now they're pouring billions of dollars, which again is very rudimentary compared to our possibilities, billions of dollars, and it's like new research, and it's really not new research on, well, we just change it through using, say, frequencies. This is where epigenetics happen. This is where they found fantastic results using, say, sound frequencies or sound therapy to, again, change or manipulate the DNA structure, which again communicates to your cells differently. And this is where, say, they've had really good success. But you keep having to, say, since you didn't change it at the core level, it's still producing a DNA, say, in this case, again, that creates autism for you, right? So again, in this case, you're creating the autistic, say, gene, which you're trying to change, at, again, a physical level. But there's a lot of research, again, through what I've done, hundreds of thousands of individual clients. You can change that. And again, beautiful work here. For example, Mandana, I've completely changed after doing this work. So again, where does that come from, right? That comes from editing, say, your source code, right? The frequencies, again, that go beyond the quantum realm or into the timeless realm. You might consider it your spirit, but your spirit is so ill-defined in today's society. But it's your timeless being, the blueprint of who you are at a timeless state. And then if you can change that, you'll change, you can change every aspect of you if you're awakened enough. So what's actually encoded in your DNA? Pretty much everything that's ever happened to humanity. So think of it, okay? Your DNA is not just your DNA. It's reaching out. It's, say, just think there's, 7.8 billion people here alive, right? And they're experiencing life. And again, it's like the 100th monkey experiment, where one monkey on an island figures out a tool, okay? In a very short time, a monkey on another island figures out the same tool. How does that happen? Again, your DNA, there's a communication between all species, and then again, your specific species. So if, say, again, if say a human understands that war and strife and control through war is necessary for its survival, everybody else will feel that pattern. And that's why many people who are, say, peacekeepers will use, say, the same principles of war, like demonstrations and so on like that, to bring about peace. But the key is that, again, strife, war, conflict has to be in your ingredient, even if you're trying to fight for peace. That makes sense to you. Again, higher logic, some of you might not understand it, but there are other ways. You change your DNA sequence, what changes that. So what is in your DNA? Every experience that you've ever had, okay, is encoded in your DNA. This is where I can analyze you. Right? Some of you who had private sessions with me, I go back. Where do I pick that up? It's not in the ethers. I'm not psychic or anything like that. I literally have access to your DNA structure, your blueprint of your DNA, and within that blueprint, everything that has ever happened to you. Right? How you're again, the craziest things are embedded in your DNA as, say, memories. Okay. Um, Most scientists, again, unfortunately, and here in the US, they say that over 80% of your DNA, they call it junk DNA. Think of that, junk DNA. So why would, say, a highly intelligent being create 80% of your DNA? No, it's just that you don't know what the other 80% does. It doesn't mean that it's useless. Again, an ego drive or an ego state from scientists thinking that they know a lot of shit and they don't. Again, why would somebody create something, again, highly intelligent, to go, oh, this is just useless? Just like back in the day, they thought your appendix was useless. Some other organs were useless. And now they're understanding it's like, shit, your appendix actually does something, right? Back in the day, right? Or your frontal lobe was useless. That's what scientists would think. So again, scientists, I love scientists. I love all the technologies, but sometimes they get a little egotistical thinking that they're all that or a godhead. So again, not knocking scientists down, but I think there's a lot of scientists on this call or wondering, Anyway, let's take a deep breath in. So everything that is that has ever happened in this reality, literally, is encoded in your DNA, and then out of that is filtered to everything human encoded in your DNA. So you would experience that if you're a woman or a man. Again, another filter that filters you out, which defines how you see yourself or how you render yourself. Okay, again, so it's all these filters. And then what happens is that you, say, as a woman, I'll just give you the woman example, but it's the same thing for men. So everything that has happened as a female, right, a human female, you is encoded in your DNA. Okay, and then within that, you filter out, say you're an Asian woman. Okay, you would filter out all the other possibilities of who you are as a woman, or you could be as a woman because you're an Asian woman now. Got it? So those possibilities are available to you. Everything else, gets deleted. Okay. Out of that, you get filtered again, and that's how, again, that's what's in the junk DNA. Okay. All the possibilities, you keep filtering it out, and then to the point that, again, the structure of your DNA, the 10 or 12% that's say viable to scientists, that is basically your encoding. So basically filtering all those experiences, including, and it's not just, say, memories, or it's not just life experiences. Say that you went through, say you went through an experience, and it was a joyous experience, but you had, say, a negative time towards it. Or I'll give you a more clear example. Again, there's been a ton of experiences where, say, people who have been in war, 5 generations down, there's children of that downline that experience, say, PTSD, and that PTSD is, again, akin to somebody who have been in war. So how does that happen? Again, through genetic permeation or structure. Now you might go, well, that person, and here's the key as well. Say that person went through war or some strife. Okay? It changes their genetic coding. Right? Now they don't have to have a baby. They don't have to procreate to change their DNA. Does that make sense to you? Again, your DNA is always active. It's always learning. It's always conscious. It's always understanding its environment. That again, that one person had a tragic event happen or a joyous event. Again, in this case, tragic event happened. They don't have to, again, their DNA changes. Their mechanics change. Okay, their mechanism changes. They don't have to have, again, a baby to say pass that on into their genes, because of this reason, again, your DNA is always adapting and learning to survive. Basically, a tragic experience, they're still living. So that was a success mechanism. It's like, oh, he's still living from that tragic. This is how he learned from it. He coped by, say, taking alcohol. And again, it's the strangest thing, but it's like, oh, I see that this guy started to take in alcohol. And then that's how it survived. Again, does it make sense? No. But again, that was a coping mechanism. Your DNA doesn't know anything different. Again, the observation at a higher level doesn't know anything different. And then, unfortunately, from that point on, right, say the daughter or the son of, say, that alcoholic dad, that could happen like 10 generations ago, they have kids, because their DNA has changed. They have kids, and then that's where, say, alcoholism comes in, or whatever other issues come in. So again, it's not just, say, physical issues, illnesses and all that, alcoholism, and everything else that you do. Success mechanisms are the same way. For example, and this is in today's society, there's a lot of men that have become really, really successful. Okay? The daughters of that man see that they're really successful, and they admire their father. They adapt to the genetic makeup of their father, including being a masculine identity, because the masculine identity, again, is wrapped around with success. And then you have women today that lose their identity as they become successful, because they become more masculine. Their features become more masculine as they become successful. How many of you out there have, say, reversed that once I've helped you, say, understand that success does not equate to just being masculine? You can be, say, successful through a feminine version of it. Again, comment in on how many of you. So why aren't learning faster as a human race how to fight off disease such as COVID? Why can't we tap into the survivors and learn how to make those antibodies? That's the point. The survivors, again, people who've survived, you're not just tapping into the antibodies. You're tapping into every aspect of that person and then absorbing it into the DNA. It doesn't filter out just, say, the antibodies or what was successful. It filters in all the possibilities of the environment. Does that make sense to you? So say, for example, there was an antibody, okay, figured out for your genetic makeup, because your genetic makeup, again, including antibodies and all those things, adapt. But within that environment, there's war. So now, yes, you would have antibodies for whatever virus or disease, but then you would always have to be in strife or in war. That's what I'm talking about. Everything gets, say, transmuted. So the communication, and this is where, say, shedding, if that's a word, yeah, shedding in this is where, again, this proves my point. A lot of you who haven't had the vaccines, right? You're eliciting the same response as people who have had the vaccine, because your DNA is adapting. You're an adapter. You learn really fast to, say, again, accommodate your environment. So you would have the same issues as somebody who had the vaccine, the same results. Again, the same after effects, so to speak. So the key is that, again, it's about you understanding what you're filtering. So that's the key. It's you have to understand what you filtered to create you. And that way, many of you who've, say, awakened or have gone through this process, you start to see, it's like, oh shit, my hands, they're like grandfather's hands. You will start to see parts of your body going, shit, my side of my face is like my dad's. And again, there's nothing wrong with it, but if the side of your face or your eyes are the same as, say, somebody else, most likely you've inherited their, again, romantic traits. You've inherited their success habits. You've inherited their emotional traits and all those other things that happen to them as well. So let's take a deep breath in. And these are the three things that you can do, because that's what I promised you, to see what you've inherited, right? Not just see, because once you're the observer of what you've inherited, that's half the battle of changing your DNA or your coding way beyond what science can do for you. It changes your blueprint, again, that zero level. So let's take a deep breath in, and we'll get into that in a deeper state. And then it'll also help you reset your DNA. Like many of you, again, who have healed from fantastic diseases, or some of you who have kids with autism. Again, I'm not claiming to cure anything or anybody, but once you awaken and understand that the patterns that you're running, the programs that you're running are not yours, you can go back and say edit, because you have access to your higher level. You can go back and change it. And then this is where, again, amazing results happen for people. Much more amazing than anything that science can give you. And again, this is pure science, but science hasn't evolved to the higher levels. Let's take a deep breath in. And what we're doing here, and again, whether you believe it or not, doesn't really matter. It bypasses it to your original form. Again, the observation of, or that consciousness, if you want to call it a consciousness, that observes your environment. So what this hyper meditation is about again, separating you from your programming. And then you'll get to start to see, it's like, oh, my anger is from my dad or grandfather. My addiction pattern is from so-and-so. And then with the 18-day meditations, hyper meditations, you can accelerate, say, the changes. By the way, it's coming up in August. Breath in again. And I'll ask you a couple questions as you notice your spine. How much of you is you? Again, notice a very small percentage, especially if you're new. So notice the number that came up. For you who don't feel like you, especially, this is the reason why. Your genetic makeup is not yours. It wasn't your decision. Again, it was a process of evolution. You weren't awake enough, or even as a child, you weren't awake enough to go, I don't want that from my parents. Breath in again, noticing your chin. Some of you will hate yourself. It's not yourself that you're hating. It's who you've become. Because again, you'll see a separation of your real self and then what you think or who you think you are from a genetic or genome level. It's not about conscious thought. It's about your cellular identity. Some of you, again, you look at the mirror and it's got, oh my God, uncle, you'll look like your uncle, not you. Breath in again. So when you start to not like yourself or get angry, you're just basically pushing away what's not you, right? So, don't go, well, I did a Moss on Sunday with this guy, Moss, and he really fucked me up. Now I don't know who I am. Well, you didn't know who you are before that. You're just seeing who you're not. Simple as that, right? Again, so this is a good thing for you. What you would do is observe, and this is how you can get over it. Obviously, sessions with me or the 18-day hyper meditations will do this for you faster. But for you, if you do nothing else with me, the best way to overcome it or to get clear for you is to observe, again, yourself. You'll feel yourself. And then you'll see the patterns, the identities that you were running. Right? So notice the distance between your real self that's forming. Some of you, it'd be on the inside, and then that shit that's coming out. Okay? Don't fall into that garbage that's coming out. Don't go, oh shit, again, I can't believe this. Don't fall into it. Right? You position yourself again. This is you before you were merged with all that programming that wasn't you. I'm just like helping you pull away from that programming that wasn't you. So it's always been with you. You're just observing it from a different point. Notice the distance between the real you, okay, and the real you might feel blank because again, who you were in the past was not you. That's why you feel blank. You'll see all the programmings again outside of you. Notice the distance, the proximity between you. Okay? Don't fall into that because then you'll turn into them even more. Okay? You won't stay the same because you're awakened to the truth. You'll fall into their patterns even more. Okay? So again, notice the distance and again, observe where that is, the distance, and then notice you. And I know it's like, well, what the fuck is he talking about? When you go through the process, you'll see it's like, shit, I'm seeing myself get angry. Okay. So don't tap into the anger part. Notice how far you're seeing yourself get angry. I'm feeling myself get X. Experiencing myself do this. Does that make sense? That's where they brain function, like your vocabulary, watch your vocabulary. Again, I'm seeing myself do this. Right. Notice that other person that is you, again, an extension of you. I'm feeling myself do this, right? So again, you'll see you and then you'll see an observer, the observer observing all the different, say, personalities that you've absorbed from your DNA. All right. Let's take a deep breath in. And then as you understand, again, you can, you don't want to push that stuff away because you really can't. The more you push against what you're seeing and experiencing, the more it entangles in you. Okay. So say, for example, you're pushing a wall or you're trying to move this stone and you have to push harder and harder, right? You have to take more and more energy. That makes sense to you. And again, you're pushing against something. The more energy you push against, it creates that So, and that's the point. So what you want to do, again, just observe the distance. You don't want to push against or throw away. You want to observe the difference. And then when you do that, it allows you, again, to disconnect from it. So again, I stress, you don't want to push against the thing that you're seeing outside of yourself. And you don't want to fall into it either. Let's take a deep breath in. So, and I'll continue to work on you, but I just want to bring some guests. First of all, James, really good. We're just going to do a quick overview. Yeah, a quick interview on James. Hey, James. Nice, so nice to see you, my friend.
Yeah, how are we doing, Mars?
Let me unmute you. There you go. James, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, loud and clear.
Yeah, man. Now I can hear it. All right. James, again, he's become a dear friend. James, just to give you an overview, he's done so many success, I don't know, success seminars. In fact, he used to work in that industry, one of the biggest names, out there and all that. But when he ran into XI, his life totally fell apart, because he thought success was this, but in reality, it was something very different. Right? Very different, because most of those things, again, it's success that has to do with sacrifice, control, and lack. Again, that's that success that you want. You can have success without that. We can have it all. And the interesting thing now, he helps people, again, kind of get them ready. It's really nice how his abilities has come about. So do you want to talk about that really quick? Again, you're before, and then like before you met, you got into XI, during, because it's an interesting story. And I know we don't have a lot of time, James, but again, if you can compress it, and then what's happening now for you and your abilities, my friend.
Yeah. So you kind of nailed it. But before I was doing the mindset work, I was doing the inspirational events, I was doing the workshops, and I was getting somewhere. I really was. Like I felt like I was. Yep. But at the same time, I would also yo-yo. So it's funny, I was actually having this conversation today. But I would have, bursts of inspiration, building business or whatever. And that was also the point. It was very business focused. It was just one thing. It wasn't anything else but business, financial freedom, and a lot of what the success industry preaches. And, it's really amazing stuff.
Right.
Like really potent stuff, when you actually learn from it the right way.
Absolutely.
And I think that's contributed to a lot of my success, is that I kind of learned that stuff consciously. And then I got involved with your work, and it scared the shit out of me initially. So dropping it scared me because, the vision that I created, the possibility of me losing that, the vision that I fabricated of myself, it was really intimidating. So I dived into the work. I did one neti on a podcast, and I had that emotion come up. I had, seen those patterns come up immediately. It took me about 2.5 years to actually dive into it, and things got messy. Things hit the fan. I felt lost. I had a beautiful ascension, or I say exposure to my possibilities, and then I came back down and hit reality, and I didn't know who I was. So I used to set goals. I used to be super ambitious. I am, but I used to do a lot of that stuff. That totally disappeared, and it was confusing as all hell. I even remember having a chat with Mars, and like, mate, like in my head, I was thinking this guy's conning me, and all these things. And for whatever crazy reason, I just hung on. I was like, all right, I'm just gonna chill out. Like, I'll just hang on. And I remember you telling me, man, like I told you before, you need to let that stuff go. And the deeper reasoning was because that I was reaching outside of myself to create stability, to find myself. The goals were my external reference point. And as soon as I kind of somehow let that go, I don't know how I did it relatively quickly. My life just became easier. I had this ease. I actually felt me, and I had moments where I caught up with friends that I'd known for years, and they'd said, "Man, like I feel like I'm meeting the first James, like in forever."
Mm-hmm.
And now I've been able to meet my beautiful partner, which is she's sitting over there. Hello, Carolina. Um, and we do this work together now.
Yeah.
And that's how we met. She loved it. She really got into it. She's exposed some really amazing blind spots in myself
Mm-hmm.
that we'll have, and growing together. Challenge. I say easy. There are challenges, but the challenges are there for a purpose to help you elevate.
Right.
And yeah, now I help people as well. Through
Absolutely.
frequency work, through my own flavor. And I never thought it was possible.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it's beautiful. So just again, what he was overall, the way XI sees it is that you're still hurt, you're still abused, you're still running all those patterns on the inside, and then success becomes a mechanism on the outside for you. Does that make sense? And that's how most successful CEOs, high-level CEOs, billionaires, all that, they're still damaged on the inside. And James, you work with a ton of successful people, and they're having this facade, and then XI dictates. It's like, dude, you got to get rid of this facade. It's fake for you. It's like, but no, this is where my security, this is where my money, that for some people who are talented, this is where my talent is. I can't let that go, otherwise I die. That's my identity. It's like, no, you're okay, because all that stuff is not on the outside. It's not with physical things, it's on the inside. And then what you do is and this is again, it's a death of your old self, again, that facade. And then you go internal. Okay? Doesn't mean that you don't do without money or anything like that. In fact, you expand, and then this is where, again, money comes into you the proper way. Your abilities come in. You become, again, more youthful. You become more vibrant. So it's the same level of wealth, success, abilities, and then you can go beyond, because if you're losing yourself into your success, you can only go so far before you kill yourself, you go crazy. You, like a lot of those individuals who are motivational people on the circuit, and then they get really fucked up as they age. That's why that shit happens, by the way. Again, so again, it's success. It's the same outcome, but even it's not the same outcome. It's the same physical outcome as far as money and talent, but way beyond, because you're defining who you are at a deeper level, that human quality in you, which is really beautiful. I mean, I love people like James. There's plenty more that are coming into their abilities, and it's so. And James, I just want to talk about, because in the beginning, again, very competitive, because that's the way you'd have to be. You'd have to be, competitive against people and all that. Now it's like, well, shit, there's enough for everybody, because you're in the stage, you're in the level that, you're in the level that it's like you're not in that consciousness where, again, there's lack, there's sacrifice, and there's control. So you've elevated. So congratulations, my friend. Too, in the stage, it's like, well, shit. Because he was thinking, and again, if you don't mind me saying it, James, it's like,
you go for it, man. You let it rip, bro.
Yeah, because it's beautiful. It's like, well, shit, if I share like an event with him, he's going to steal all my clients, and you know what I mean? And then it's like, because, I've got more experience and knowledge. It's like, he's going to take, it's like, no, dude, that's not the way it is. It's like, I do my work, you do your work, and there's plenty for everybody that's out there.
100%.
It's crazy how that works. And then again, I'm sure you've got clients of mine. I've got clients of yours that we exchange, because again, I'm super busy. So, and then for him, like I would be the surgeon, he would be the post-op, or even the pre-op, and then you come to me, whichever way. Again, it's a beautiful mix, and there's other people as well. So thanks, James. Again, this guy has really nice, and he's solid. By the way, there's a ton of people that are going to come out with, say, crazy ass abilities, guys.
Yeah.
Just like Jesus said, anybody can heal you, right? But he said, make sure that they heal you from the frequency. He used God. I use your purest essence, or your purest source, your internal, again, your internal pure connection to that one source. So be mindful. Again, don't just get starry-eyed that somebody has, say, fantastic ability, because that fantastic ability can like literally say drain the hell out of you because it comes from a source that needs to drain the hell out of you. Okay, so be mindful of that. All right, buddy. Thank you so much, my friend.
Good to see you.
Yeah, nice seeing you, man. Take care. We are going to go on to Chloe. Hi, Chloe. Just give me 1 second. Let me unmute you here. How are you? I can't hear you.
Let's see. How's that?
Yeah, that's better. That's a lot better. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you.
So it's okay for me to analyze you, right?
Yeah.
Alrighty. Again, I'm not a doctor or anything like that. If I tell you anything medical, again, it's just what I'm seeing. I'm not diagnosing you or anything. So again, anything medical for you or anybody else. Again, it's just my what I'm seeing, my observation. And then it's okay to share your experiences with the lovely people live and then on a recording as well, right?
Yeah. That's what I'm here for.
All right, Chloe. So, well, let's just jump right in. If how long are you new, or have you been? It seems like you're kind of new, or you feel like new, but I don't know.
Yeah. I've never done one of these. I'm familiar kind of with what you do, but
Right. Okay. Well, there's a newness in you that's coming. There's an awareness in you. It's how old are you? Do you mind me asking? If that
30.
Okay, 30. Yeah, it seems like at 24, or maybe a little younger, because you feel younger, but you're older. Does that make sense to you? So there's a reason for that. So around 22, 24, it seems like the door of opportunities of your life, basically, it's like shit. It's closing. It's getting smaller and smaller for you. So around, again, 22, 24, it's like, oh God, there's a lot of opportunities for you that you thought you could, say, experience, but then that door got, it started to close upon you, and then you went into another direction, basically. Does that make sense? Or you got, say, stuck in a rut. That makes sense to you? Or or you feel trapped. Does that make sense to you?
It does, yeah.
Yeah. Was it and it's not you, by the way. At 22 or 30, I see a lot of your mom's patterns in you, if that makes sense. So something happened to your mom at around that, and it could be, I see a female frequency. It could be your father, if your father is, say, feminine frequencies, but something happened to your mom or dad, again, a feminine frequency, or a loved one that was like literally attached onto you, that shut you down. So it wasn't your experience, but during that time, as whatever happened to them, they pulled you towards them. Does that make sense to you?
Maybe, yeah.
Okay. So as you age, in short, you'll turn into your mom.
Okay.
Does that make sense to you?
It does, yeah. And I've had people say I match her in a few areas. So, I mean, yeah.
That's exactly what I'm saying. So what happens, and again, it's the same ingredients. So for example, at 22, 23, something happened to her. She feels like, I don't know, it's almost like a stroke, or like some fearful event like that happened. And basically what happens is, and that's where your life kind of got in disarray. Does that make sense to you? Like 20.
So at 24, that's when my life got in disarray. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Or you started to question your life. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Like heavily questions, like, shit, where am I going? And then again, the opportunities that you thought were there for you kind of like shut down. It's like, well, I don't want to go there. I don't want to go there. I don't want to go there. I'm going to go this way unwillingly. Does that make sense to you?
Maybe a little. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'm recognizing that age. I did recognize some changes in me. I didn't necessarily interpret them as that, but I definitely.
Yes.
I mean, it was around that age.
Yeah. So those changes, again, it's your mom's identity, or again, your mom's DNA patterning that stepped into you. And then from there, Chloe basically lost herself. And then you separated. Chloe was supposed to go this way, but then you got stuck going into your mom's pattern. So for example, whatever would happen to your mom at 30, something very similar will happen to you at 30. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, we'll see.
So how old are you again? Sorry,
I'm 30.
Okay. Yeah. So you'll see that again, you're still 30. Yeah. So just to prove it to you, yeah. It's like whatever happened to your mom, 30, you'll experience the same thing, especially after this session. But the good thing is that you're awake and you go, and then that experience will happen to you. And it's like, holy shit, Moss was right. But because you'll awaken really fast. It's kind of like a slap in the face for you. And then you go, oh my God, I'm running my mom's patterns. And then that's where you, again, XI takes off for you, especially if you do, the 18 days. That's where you go back to who Chloe was. Okay, like people who run your patterns, by the time you're age 40, you've totally lost your whole identity. You'll feel like imprisoned. So right now, between the age of 22 to 30, life has become, say, more and more constricting for you. Does that make sense to you? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Or some of the things that you've wanted to do, it seems like they're further away from you. Does that make sense to you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I'm just saying it from a different perspective. Again, you'll experience constriction or some of those possibilities that you wanted, again, further and further away. But now, again, so what'll happen after this session is that you'll see those possibilities come back to light. You'll see what you wanted to do at, I want to say 23, I might be off by a year or two, that you really, really wanted to do, but you didn't get a chance to do. That opportunity will show up for you in about 2 months. Take that opportunity, Chloe. Right? No matter what it is, no matter, and you go, well, I don't know what it is. It's an opportunity to adventure or go on a trip that you wanted to do at 22 or 23 that you didn't do for some reason. That makes sense to you?
Yeah, absolutely. I was actually kind of thinking travel or something because I went off to school and then couldn't do all the traveling and stuff. So
perfect. So yes, so that's your mom's pattern again, not being able to travel, and then I gotta get educated. I gotta focus in on, say, my future. That's not you. That's not Chloe. That's your mom's pattern. I'm always missing out. Does that make sense? It's like you're always missing out on things. I'll bring it down home for you. You're always missing out on things. You're always going, well, yeah, that's going to be fun, but I really have to hunker down and do this because that's going to, benefit my future. Does that make sense to you?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Those patterns of success for you, one, you will not be happy with that kind of success, just the way your mom is. Look at your mom's pattern. And then we'll move on to the next person. Look at your mom's pattern is where she is like, shit, I have this, but I wish I could have done that. That's your mom, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's you. That's basically you 10 years in the future. So unless you obviously change. So again, in the near future, what'll happen is that trip, and it's a crazy ass fun trip. So take it. Okay, that's where you literally will go back in time to you'll feel like you're 24 and you'll go on that trip. It's like, oh my God, it's like resetting life. And then you run your life, up to 30 your way.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then, so again, take that trip. If you don't, you're just acknowledging, you're just confirming that you want to stay on your mom's path. So if you want that, it's okay, but look at your mom's life. If that's what you don't want, you take that trip, no matter what, if your money situation is low or whatever it is, you can't do it, do it, because that confirms that you want Chloe's life back, not your mom's. That make sense? So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. And then connect with us. Connect back in about a month and a half, and you'll see that you're very different. Okay. Any questions or no?
No, I don't think so. That was interesting. It was good. It was kind of things I've considered, and so.
Yeah. Yeah, this is
Thank
just
you.
a deeper level. You're so welcome. Some of you going, I feel like Moss is speaking to me. Yeah, so as I'm working on Chloe, again, other people who run similar patterns, I'm working on you as well. We will go to Dan. Hey, Dan. Oops. Where's Dan? Hey, Dan. There you go, buddy.
Hello, Moss. Nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you. Hey, Dan. So it's okay for me to, again, analyze you live and then use this content in other
Yes,
research
definitely.
already. Fantastic. Again, not a doctor or anything. Oh, by the way, Chloe, your mom has a lot of blood issues. So you want to check that out. For you, Dan, if there's anything special, how long have you been with XI, or are you new?
I'm new to it.
Okay. Yeah. Dan, you just feel like a little kid to me. In a older man's. How old are you, by the way?
36.
36. Yeah. So you feel like a young kid in a 36-year-old body. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
And there's a reason for that. So it's like life stopped. I want to say at 9 or 10 years old for you. I could be off by a couple of years. Life stopped, and then it's like, shit, something happened, and you can share it with us, or you don't, or I don't know if you're, because it's private. Again, whatever, if you want to do that. But something happened at 9 or 10 years old. Again, you can share it or not. If not, and then
no, definitely.
Okay, perfect.
So at that age, my were working a lot, and I used to stay with family, and while they were at work, and my cousin was quite abusive toward me and my sister, and he actually almost killed me.
Yep, I see that. Yep. Take a deep breath in, my friend. So that's why I was seeing a near death. Okay, I didn't know how, because I get algorithms, not like certain experiences sometimes. So say that you're going on the train of time, Dan. You're just floating through, and you're in time because you're a kid. You're just on that train. You have a near death experience, no matter for whatever reason. You jump off that train. That makes sense? So now you're walking alongside the train of time. Obviously, you're walking a lot slower than time moves. So, and then it's like, well, when am I going to reset? When am I going to jump back on and resume my life? Does that make sense to you?
Yes, definitely.
So you're 9 years old, but then now you find yourself at 36. It's like, shit, I haven't figured out to jump back on the train of time. So emotionally, and again, you've got that youthfulness in you, all those things, again, which is a good sign. This is how we do the frequency spas, by the way. You look a lot younger than, say, 36, especially if you shave that beard off. You'd look like a little kid, and that's a good thing, because that's a physical feature of slowing down time. And again, that's how we get you youthful on the frequency spas. But again, the side effects is that you feel like a 9-year-old, and you always, like, for example, miss out on things, if that makes sense to you.
Yes, definitely.
And then you try to do maybe extreme things or get really adventurous to go, look, I'm in the moment, I'm feeling it, but then it like slips through your hand the moment, and then you find yourself snap back in time. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, it does.
Yep. So basically what you do is, like, imagine yourself as a rubber. And by the way, I'm just working on you and other people at the same time to help you disconnect and then live the way you should. So you're 9 years old. You see yourself as a 36-year-old. You do adventurous things, or maybe extreme things sometimes, or whatever that is that you do to go, you stretch that rubber band to your 36. It's like, wow, this feels really good. I feel euphoric. It feels great. Life is great. And then all of a sudden you can't maintain because it's pulling you back. And then, well, you basically crash every so often, right? And then you go, why does that happen? And then you work your way out. Again, you stretch, and then you feel euphoric. And then again, you snap back. Does that make sense to you?
Very so.
Yep. Take a deep breath in, my friend. There's this one, Smithy Smudge. I always dream about trying to find my way home, searching for the train, etc. I want to go on the train. Yeah, we can help you as well. So those people, again, something devastating happened to them when they're young, and now they're just like looking at their life go forward, and they're like sedentary. Or this is where it's harder for you to create success or money or those kind of patterns as well. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Because again, you're a young kid. Take a deep breath in. And we'll help you, Dan, and then we'll also help other people in this situation. There we go. There you go. Notice your growing area.
Yes.
This is where in relationships, again, in relationships, people think that you're like a little kid. You don't understand. You have that loving space of a young, bright kid. You're honest. You're, that beautiful space kids have. But again, you're older, so it doesn't mix well, so to speak, once they get more and more intimate with people. So there we go. So what I'm doing for you, Dan, is disconnecting that rubber band. So, and then just a safety, because you don't want to go from 9 to 36 really quick. So what you'll experience, again, it's a safety mechanism. You'll experience like you being a 9-year-old, and you'll go back and heal yourself as an adult. You'll heal your inner child, and then you'll experience like a 12-year-old. And this is where some of the, like your bone structure that I see is softer because you didn't go through puberty properly, so to speak. So I see your bones softer. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, definitely a little bit.
You know what I mean? Or you're more flexible than, say, most 36-year-olds.
Absolutely.
Or you're more stretchy. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah. The reason for that is like, well, I've stretched a lot and stuff like that. Well, no, you're still a younger version. You didn't turn into, say, an adult bone structure. Your ligaments and all that didn't turn in. So that's why you're more, again, more like stretchy like a kid, right? Or more flexible. So anyway, you'll find yourself more like, say, stiffer, which is good, again, because you're more and more into that adult stage. And it'll help you as you age, because your bone structure, again, it's not an adult bone structure. So it wouldn't support the weight. So as you age, you shrink, or again, you'd have bone issues. Again, I'm not diagnosing, I'm just telling you what you would have. And you're very different than, say, your parents as well, as far as, body structure, maybe not body structure, but bone structure and stuff, because again, that experience happened to you. Does that make sense? Not your parents. So anyway, so you'll go from 9 to 12, 13, 14, kind of hang out there for a little bit, and then you'll bounce around to 18. And then, so you'll go live those experiences. You'll feel, again, like a 9-year-old, like a 13-year-old, like a 14-year-old. And this all happens in a matter of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months. So from 9 to, 36, was that 27 years? Yeah. So 27, you'll grow 27 years of life in about 6, 7 months, which is a lot of growth. So really enjoy that. Sometimes when people have done that, you might even get zits and stuff like you would if you were a kid. So if you had, say, like zits and stuff like that as a kid, you might re-experience that. So, I mean, because you're going through puberty again. So just note that. It's really crazy shit. But when you're going through that, just enjoy it. And then you'll grow into a strong 36-year-old. And that's where you'll really define who you are. So it's really exciting. I would journal. You're really a good writer, by the way. So journal, because you're very, you can write your emotions. Yeah. Yeah, you can express your emotions through words really well, which is really nice. It's a nice ability to have, my friend. How are you feeling?
Amazing. You hit the nail right on the head. 9 years old to a T.
Yeah. So welcome back to life.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Yeah. And then come back. And maybe what we can do, Yami, is like connect with these people like about a month or two down the line, just like we did with 13 Ways to Heal Your Love Pain. You know, we worked on them, and then like a month later, we checked up, interviewed them again, and see how their life changed since then. I think that'd be really cool. So, very good. All right, buddy.
Thank you very much, Moss.
You are so welcome, my friend. Again, do you guys see how it get impacted? So say that nothing. So say that, you know, with Dan, you know, he lived life without like XI awakening him. So what would happen to him is, say he had kids, or say he had, you know, say he had kids. That issue of that disconnect would run in his kids' pattern. Okay. So again, and then that's how the genetics of humanity changes. Not for the better, but again, Dan survived it by, again, doing what he did. Again, that'll transfer into his kids. So, all right. Bitcoin update. Yes. So Bitcoin, it's really, again, it's a great, I'm not giving you financial advice, but I have predicted the Bitcoin ups and downs very accurately. It is a good time to, say, jump in for you. Okay. Yeah. Overall, Bitcoin towards the end of the year will be a lot higher than what it reached in the past. Okay. To get more specifics, because again, I'm not a financial analyst, again, join the BTM group, Breaking the Matrix group, to get like specific updates and specific currencies that, you know, that I trade. All right. Again, guys, next week, again, another fantastic Moss on Sunday coming up. The 18 days coming up in August for many of you who are new. No matter how experienced you think you are, again, don't take the accelerated. If you're new, take the essential. Again, no matter how gung-ho you think you are, because it is intense, your whole life, literally in 18 days, will start to, say, change dramatically. So again, if you're new, take the 18 days, get accustomed to the frequencies. You'll grow faster that way. Okay. All right. Thanks for being here again. Subscribe, tell your friends about it. Yeah. Oh, and also we're doing a After Effects on vaccines. So what that is that, and that should be coming up. Yeah, the after effects on vaccines. Again, the changes of your RNA, right? Because of the vaccines, because that's what it's not. So the vaccines aren't really vaccines of the old. This literally changes how your cellular structure, the RNA, communicates, the communication module of your, say, genome. It edits that for you. So I've figured out, and again, I'm not claiming anything, but through research, working on other people, dozens of people, I figured out how to, say, edit that. So again, those changes made from the vaccine. And again, it's just my theory. Right? I'm not claiming anything, but with good results to your benefit. So you change actually faster if you're in the right, say, mode. So take a look at that. It's on the website, masajati.com. And again, please subscribe so we can give you more free content. All right. Take care. Peace.
I popped into a completely new consciousness, a new version of myself.
I had no idea that it could shift so quickly, but it did. In just 18 days, it's really phenomenal.
Think of all the possibilities of you being abundant, you being happy, you being healthy, okay? Without sacrifice or control or anything else that exists in this reality. That's the consciousness that I'm talking about. It is a disruptive technology. It'll massively transform your belief systems, your ideas into your best possible self. The concept behind the 18-day meditations is that, well, why can't we just live out of that higher level consciousness 24/7? Think of the possibilities that could open up for us.
Yeah, so many significant changes, and now literally life, it's like a system. Everything, all my relationships, all my experiences, everything is like working together to really create like the best possible situation for my evolution. So it's really beautiful.
My perspective on everything has just changed, out of this victimhood. Everything is here to help us. And I didn't know that till I started XI. This is only to strengthen me. This is only to get me to the next level.
The frequencies in this program were incredible. I've never been able to connect so much. I actually can now feel my higher self around me, which I couldn't before.
I started reaching a very solid state, like a solid original primal state. That's what I started experiencing. From there, I started creating, getting really inspired and wanting to do things at the highest level, like really, really wanting to do things clearly at the highest level.
My shift in my energy, my self-worth, great things are just happening. They are happening synchronistically. I can walk in the woods and know that I am everything I need to be, and that the rest just flows.
It's a frequency-infused meditation that can drastically transform your life just by listening. It's not psychology, it's a way of being. It transforms you at your core. If you're willing to find out new possibilities or new realities, then that's for you. You get stronger, you get better, you get wiser. Yes, your problems and issues resolve really fast, but then you're taking the 18 days to see what the potential is for you. So it's not about, say, solving your issues. It's about, you're good to go. What more can we explore out there for you? And that's where it gets really exciting.
Trust that this man has the abilities that he has. Trust the process and trust your feelings.
I highly suggest just giving it a chance. Like, what is 18 days? Literally give yourself a full 18 days. You could just turn them on and go back to sleep, and you're gonna watch your life transform. You have unlimited possibilities. It's so much power.